Okay, I'm here for more with Boba. This is Boba, Attack of the Forester. Boba does not like riding in the car. He drools. It's very difficult for him to get in the car. He's only a year. He should be able to jump over this car. But you see his guardian has gotten him a ramp to make things as easy as possible. So a lot of dogs don't like riding in the car because of motion sickness. And especially being in a place like LA where we drive pretty aggressively and pretty fast and have a lot of starts and stops, that can actually exacerbate and make the problem worse. So what we're going to do in this video, I'm going to show you how you can desensitize a dog to being in the car. And it's a long process. There are a lot of steps to it, so I'm going to try to outline them all here. And you see Boba's in the car now, but you can see he's breathing. He's got his mouth open, which you like, but he's doing that because he's a little stressed and he's breathing heavily. His guardian, I tried to give a couple treats. He took a couple and a couple he spit out. If a dog won't take a treat that you know that they like, that's a really good indication that they are over threshold or stressed out. So basically, the first thing that I'm going to have the guardian do is come out and just have Boba sit right here. Boba should be happy to come out of the car. There we go. You see that enthusiasm. Or maybe take one more step over here. All right, basically I'm going to have you put Boba to sit facing the car. Now, all you're going to do is just wait there. This is kind of a shaping exercise. So basically, all we want Boba to do is look at say yes and give him a treat. All he has to do is look at that car. Every time he looks at the car, say yes and give him a treat. And if he wants to get up, that's okay. He doesn't have to sit. Him sniffing me is actually a good thing. We've been working for about an hour, and he's not a big fan of people he doesn't know that try to talk to him, and I've been talking to him quite a bit. So the fact that he's sniffing me is a good indication he feels comfortable. So guardian is going to watch very, very carefully, and when you're doing shaping like this, it'll be almost accidental. Right there you go. So basically what she's doing is she's saying the marker word every time he looks at the truck. He doesn't have to go in. Now, right now, this is probably a little advanced. The door is open, the ramp is down. So if your dog has difficulty, won't look at it, or doesn't want to take the treats, I would do this with the ramp gone and the door closed. So be maybe about 15 feet away from the car, just stop. You could walk around the car. We have a nice parking lot here, or a parking garage, so we can do that. If you have enough room, walk around, and every time the dog looks at the car, you say your marker word and give it a treat. Keep these to 2-3 minute practice sessions. I'd like to see them about 3 to 5 times a day. And this is the very, very first stage, just simply looking at the car. The next stage would be to open the car door, the back, and as the door is opening and he looks at it, say yes and give him a treat. We do not follow it up by putting him in the car. And then basically you could just close it. I wouldn't give him a treat for closing. I guess you could technically because it's movement, but I would really emphasize more it going up. And so you might want to come out here and just have him sit here, open it. He looks at it, yes, he gets a treat, you close it, take a step over here, do the same thing. So you kind of do it in multiple different locations. And again, you will find that the closer you get to the car, then you're going to get to a situation where he might not feel comfortable enough to sit or look at it. And that means you just need to move a little bit further away. You want to keep on doing this stage until you come out here and Boba's pretty much looking at the car, actually the stage I just talked about, looking at the car. So Boba comes out and he's just staring at the car almost like it's a bathing beauty. So basically what you want, I don't know why I said that, but basically the second stage when you're opening it, we're adding a different element. So now when the door opens, I get a treat after the door opens, but I do not have to go in the car. So what we're doing is creating the positive association. If he spits out that treat, I would move further and further away until you can find a distance where he can watch it open and then look and then get that treat without spitting it out. So again, this is something we're gonna go at Boba's pace, and we want to keep these again to short, like 2 or 3 minute sessions. So the guardian works from home, I believe, so she can come out, maybe do breaks 3 or 4 times a day for doing these stages. And so what we're doing is we're just building positive associations with the car without actually getting into it. So the next stage would be open it up and then put the ramp down and have Boba look at it. Now the ramp itself, I've had a couple clients whose dogs have difficulty with this. If your dog has difficulty with this, I would take this in your home and then lure your dog to walk along this thing, and then after they walk along where it's flat on the ground, they have complete walking on it, they get a treat. And you can do the same steps we're doing here in your house. If your dog won't look at it because this is associated with going for a ride, just wait, and as soon as your dog looks at it, yes, and give a treat. I don't even have to walk at it. And then eventually you could leave a treat trail. The dog comes up and sniffs it, takes the treat, and runs away. That's a good positive experience. Yes. When you're doing this, sometimes the dog will kind of walk across it this way instead of walking the way you want. So the trick that I found is putting this like against, so there's a wall on this side, we could walk Boba where the human's on that side, the wall's blocking here, and he's walking up it. But again, if he doesn't want to, we're not going to force him, we're not going to pull him. The whole point of this is he enjoys it and wants to do it. Let's go ahead and put one right on the bottom step there. Let's go ahead and put several of them. We're going to do a dotted line going up. Now we do the dotted line, it's kind of an indication to see how far we can go with the dog, but also, and that tells us how far he's comfortable. So if he only makes it the halfway point here, then we know we can practice going there over and over again, and gradually we can go maybe one step past that, and one step past that, and keep moving up until hopefully he's going all the way up it. But doing this and practicing this in your house, so go put one right at the very bottom off the deal so that he can get one super duper easy. There you go. Now we're doing this all at once. This is too advanced normally, but we're doing this for demonstration purposes. So he's got the one that was on there, and a lot of people are like, but he's not even on the ramp. What's the point of that? Him approaching the ramp is a good part of this process. It's a step in the process of getting up here. And again, him not wanting to take a treat can be an indication that that level is too much for me to achieve right now, which is, there we go, which is why we're not going to force anything. So eventually inside your house, you're able to get him to walk across this thing if he's really fearful. Now he will go up it, he just doesn't like going up it. So his guardian takes him to daycare, so she has to drive him in the car to do that. But I'd like to really supplement this with a lot of this practice, the steps I'm talking about here. You know, like I said, 3 to 5 to 7 times a day, but it has to be quality practice. If he starts shutting down or he's really negative after this and indicates that he's uncomfortable, then we might back it down to 4 times, 3 times, 2 times a day. But the idea is we want to get as much repetition as we can, but it has to be quality repetition. All right, so then the next stage is once you can actually get him comfortable with this and he's going all the way up the ramp to get those treats, then you can go ahead and have him come up. And what we're going to do now is let's go ahead and grab these treats. Now she can get him to go up. She doesn't have to coerce him too much. He doesn't like it. But all we want to do at this stage is I want him to practice going up the ramp, getting a treat, and then immediately getting to come out. And then after we do that about 3 or 4 times, we're going to go up the ramp, wait 1 second, then give him the treat, then let him exit, and then eventually 2 seconds, 3 seconds, we're going to work our way up. So I'll let the guardian go ahead and practice this a little bit. So when he gets up there, you're going to say your marker word all the way up. Yes, give him that treat, and go ahead and lead him right back down. So he's sitting down. That could be a good indication, but I think at this point he's conditioned to do that because he's gotten in there so many times. So I'd rather just have him repeat going up and down this. There you see that nice enthusiasm. And we're not going to give him a treat for going down because that's the reward. He wants to go down. So let's go ahead and try to get him to go up again. We'll try one more time, Boba. Yeah. Try walking on that side. There you go. There you go. Good job. That was a really good, she didn't put a lot of tension on it, but that movement kind of got him, he took a couple steps and that kind of, I say warmed him up, but got his momentum going, which helped with this process. So marker word, and then he gets to come out. And we're going to go ahead and try to do this about 5 times if you can. And we'd like to try to go bang, 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 because you're going to find that he's going to stop thinking about it quite so much because it's not culminating in her getting in the car and going for a ride. Those are too many, that's too much for him. So now all we want to do is this would be another stage. We're just going to walk out there, put the deal down, and you might combine these. You might combine where you come out here, at first he looks at it, you say yes, then you open the door, you say yes, you put down what do you call this? Ramp, and then you say yes, and then you have him go up and down it like 5 times, eventually 10 times, eventually 20 times. And you don't have to do a ton, but you can see he's moving up a little bit faster each time, and because it's not culminating in something negative. We're going to have a car come by. Hopefully they don't hit the camera. No, go ahead and keep on. Okay. All right. So this is another stage that you want to work on. And we're going to work on these kind of in a linear fashion, but don't be afraid to back up a step ever. Anytime your dog doesn't perform well or you take a couple days off, you might have to do some remedial practice again. And that's totally okay. Excellent. And if he resists, like I said, we don't pull him, but try to move a little bit further away so we get a little momentum, a couple steps going, moving forward before we hit the ramp. All right, the next stage is I'm going to go ahead and she can have him sit, but I'm not going to actually do that. What I'm going to have her do is, if you drop the leash, is he going to jump out of there? Okay. So I'm going to have you go ahead and I'm just going to have you pick up the ramp just a little, about 12 inches, and then you're going to put it back down, say your marker word, and give him the treat. So this is another stage. There you go, put it down. Say your marker word, give him that treat. And we'll repeat this one about 5 to 10 times. And if he gets up, if he starts moving around, he starts drooling, this might be too much for him. We might back up the stage of just having him go up and down that ramp. So this is one of the elements that is completed before she starts to drive. So what we're doing is making each individual element something that we can practice individually and create a reward or a positive association after that action. So right now, all she's doing is lifting it up a little bit. So we're going to have her do that one more time. You can go ahead and lift up one more time. There you go, put it down, marker word, treat. Now I'm going to have you take the whole thing off. I don't want you to fold it, but do whatever you do right before you fold it. There you go. So go ahead and marker word, treat. And then let's go ahead and put it back up. And we're not going to marker word for, well, yeah, you can mark and then reward for that as well. And then go ahead and once you do that, I'll watch the card. Go ahead and let's fold it a little bit. And then marker word, treat. So again, the same process, and then we undo it and go back to the original position. Eventually she's going to fold it 2 ways, then she's going to fold it, and I'm assuming it goes in the back here? Oh, in the middle section, okay. So then after that, she's going to fold it up. Hey, thank you. She's going to fold it up, put it in the car. And now when you fold it up, do you close this door first?
No, I fold it up and then I close this door.
Okay, so then you would fold it up, then you would give him a treat, then you would, and let's go ahead and let's actually not do that part, you can understand what I'm saying. I'm going to have you go ahead, and do you have your keys with you? So I'm going to have you close it, and as soon as it closes, you're going to open it right back up again, say your marker word, and give him a treat. So this is another element of us leaving. I know this seems a little bit monotonous, but that's the whole point. We want to make it, and then as soon as it closes, open it immediately. So it's only closed for half of a second, hopefully. Forrester's like, we got to have good security protocols. And all those beeps are associated with these sort of things as well. Is there a release in the car? Well, we don't want to do this. Just kidding. This life is going to happen. So this is an easy step because we're not actually starting the car. You can go ahead and open the car up. See, oh, there we go.
I think it just doesn't like it when you do it
too quickly? Okay. So when you close it, can you manually close it without your button, or will it already take over?
Well, I can close it to like a point with this, and then
Well,
it'll
I'm wondering, can you close it without latching it and then lift it back up? Okay. I love the power lifts. Okay, so if he has difficulty with that, you might have it go a little bit and stop it midway and then have it go back up. But again, we want to make these small steps. So ideally, we want to close this. And what you could do when you're doing this is you could close it and you could have your passenger door open. When it closes, and let's go ahead and do that. Are your doors unlocked?
Yeah.
Go ahead and close the latch. All right, close the latch. And I'm going to have you go to the middle door, not the driver door. So go ahead and go to the middle door right now. Once you hear it close, say the marker word and give him that treat. This actually will work with this because this should buy enough time to reopen this. I think what the Forester was saying is it doesn't want to close and immediately open right away. So she gives a treat. Did he take the treat? He doesn't want to take a treat. So, and now again, we're doing this all at once. So that's an indication he is uncomfortable. If we do these step by step, by the time you get to the stage, he should be a lot more comfortable. All right, and so we're going to practice this step. And again, anytime he doesn't want to take the treat, that's his indication. This is overwhelming. It's too much for me. So when we get done with that, did you take it that time? Okay, so let's go ahead and open the door. And you can leave that door open. Now, because this was a difficult one, what we're going to do is, there we go. So I'm going to say your marker word. Now what we're going to do is we're kind of going to combine, this is a little bit weird. So I'm going to have you go ahead and grab and just fold this little one.
Okay.
And then put it back to the way it was. Just extending there like that, perfect. I'm going to have you go around through the passenger door, say your marker word and give them that treat. So we're bypassing the doors closing. Since that was something that's overwhelming for him, what we want to get him to do is practice. Now, he didn't take the treat there, but again, this is a video where I'm trying to show you all the steps at once, and this is not how you would do it. This is unfortunately what most people do. This is why the dogs don't like the car. So this is, by the time we get to this stage, she probably has practiced the other steps I've talked to you about 50 practice sessions. And again, they're very short practice sessions. But eventually, and I would actually, because this is how he's indicating, I would open the door, open this, and I would not start closing the door until he can walk over there and give him a treat, and he will take it with both doors open. So then what I would do is, and you can close the door, I'm guessing from your remote control on your key fob? Okay, so then you would just basically go over and close this, go over there and sit down in the car, say your marker word and give him a treat. But you're sitting in the middle seat, you're not sitting in the driver's seat. And you're gonna keep on practicing this until eventually you get to the point where you close it, he can take the treat, then we're gonna close it and wait 1 second and then say the marker word and give him a treat. Eventually we're gonna close it and say 2 seconds before we say our marker word. But it's not gonna be 1 second the first time, 2 seconds the next time, 3 seconds the third time. Go at the dog's pace. If he doesn't wanna take a treat at any point, that means we probably pushed a little bit more criteria than he was ready for. So eventually we wanna get to the point where you can sit in the back seat and wait about 25 seconds before you say your marker word and give him a treat, and then he's comfortable. Once you get to that point, then I would go ahead, go in there, sit down, say your marker word, give him the treat, then come out here, close the door, go back to the middle seat, say your marker word, and give him another treat. And we're gonna practice that stage. So we're now practicing the door closing and him taking a treat. And this is a lot of practice without even starting the car. And that's the whole point, because when the car starts, he knows that we're pretty close to start driving, and that motion sickness is gonna kick in. So eventually, the next step, what we would do is we would close, we would do the same thing but here, but instead of treating from the middle, we would go to the driver's door, and you're gonna have to be crafty and lean pretty far in there to give him that treat. And then you're gonna come back out here, open this door, mark, give him a treat. And then eventually you get to the point where you can get in and sit in the driver's seat, close your door, say the marker word, give him a treat, then come back out, close this door, go back inside, sit down, say your marker word. So now this door is closed, the driver's door is closed, you're both in the car, we haven't even, and don't jingle the keys if possible. Jingling the keys is not a big deal, but we just don't want to approximate anything that's getting him starting it. Now the next stage, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do it with the sound of the car starting. Now he doesn't like it, and he's gonna feel those vibrations in the car, but he's also gonna hear it and he's gonna smell the exhaust. So I think at this stage, you could do it with him in here, but what I would probably do is come over here, go and not even open this door, sit in your driver's door, start your car with him outside the car on a leash. As soon as you start, say your marker word, give him that treat, turn the car off, get out of the car, close the door, and then basically you're reset, and then get back in the car, start the car up, marker word, give him a treat, and just like the last step, we're gonna now let the car run for about 2 seconds. He's not even in the car, so the car running gets me a treat. And so we keep on doing this stage until, and if he doesn't want to take the treat, then we might have him sit a little bit further away, or we might back up to the previous step. Eventually you want to get to the point where you can get in, close the doors, and then after we've practiced that enough, how much is enough? I would practice it until he seems, you see that mouth open, he's not drooling, he's not panting when he's outside the car, when you're starting it, and then saying the marker word and give him a treat. When you get to that point, then I would combine them. So you're gonna go ahead, open this, and do it step by step, mark for each one. He gets in there, you close the door, you open the passenger door, you mark, give him that treat. You close the passenger door, you get in the driver's door, you mark and give him that treat. You start the car, mark and give him the treat. Then the next stage is I'm gonna go through a little bit quicker because this is going to be a long video. So put it in gear. I'm old school. It probably is not like this, it's probably over here. So put it in gear, the car's gonna lurch a little bit. Don't go anywhere. Just put it in gear so the transmission takes effect, then put it back into park, say your marker word, and give him a treat. Now, since this is a Forester and the Guardian is not an NBA basketball player, she might wanna get something that is long that allows her to treat from a little bit of a distance. A chuck it might work really well with this. Do you know what a chuck it is? Yeah. And so if you get a chuck it, get the long one that's about this long, and I would practice in your home, holding the chuck it out, he takes the treat. So if you do it only here, he's not gonna wanna do it. You do it inside, make it a fun game, walk around your place, put it in there, give it to him, do it this way. Bubba's like, oh, the chuck it is so fun, so many great things. So eventually what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start the car and let it idle, and we're gonna be in there for 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds of it idling. Work up to about 15, 20 seconds. Then we're gonna put it in, and then the next time we do it, go get in the car, say your marker word once you get it started, Back it up like a foot, but let the idle do it. So it's going like this slow, and brake like you're trying to make the world's record for the smoothest stoppage. So it's so progressive he doesn't even notice it. So that's the name of the game, is we want to really do this very slow. So eventually you're going to pull back, maybe about 3 or 4 feet, slowly stop, say your marker word, chuck it, treat, and then go ahead and put it in gear, wait for it to settle down, and let it idle and very slowly stop. And gradually you're just going to back it forward and back. Eventually you're going to get to the point where you're doing this for about a minute, just going forward and back. And at the end of each one, I back up, marker word, treat. And at this point, we might be backing up 10, 12 feet, then moving forward and again, make it very slowly. Avoid sudden starts, stops, and sharp turns. Eventually, you're going to get to the point where you can back it up, and I would start adding in a turn, because that's what we're in a parking lot, we're going to turn a little bit. So do the turn, stop here, marker word, then go right back to your original position. Eventually, you can't do a loop in your garage, can you? Eventually what I would do, because this is kind of a quiet, I'm assuming this time of the day it's pretty quiet in here, I would back it out here, marker word, then let it idle, go all the way to that, and you might not make it all the way. At first it might be going back and forth to this channel, just 6 feet, 10 feet, 12 feet, but eventually you want to go all the way there, marker word, treat, back it up all the way to that wall, marker word and treat, and just go back and forth. We're not doing any turns. And we want to keep on doing this until he's nice and relaxed, he's taking the treats, he's not stressing about it. Now, when you actually get to the point where at this point, we're ready to start driving, but don't just jump on the 10 or the 405 right there? Don't jump on the 405. Your street, I'm not going to say the name of the street, but the street that's next to the freeway is pretty slow. I'm guessing there's not a lot of traffic this time of the day. So that would be a great time to drive, basically drive what we just walked. So you're going to go to the end and you're going to stop super slowly. There's nobody behind you, so don't feel that need to drive like we are in LA traffic. Then you're going to take a very gradual, very slow turn, go to the next one, stop, and you're going to box, and then do the same thing. And maybe just do a 1 revolution and come in here. Now, after all these things, this is equivalent to a long walk, each one of these steps for him. This is going to take a lot out of him. So that's why I said earlier, I'd like you to practice 7 or 8 times a day. That might be overwhelming for him. Now he's laying down in here, he's stopped breathing heavy, he's not panting, he's not drooling, because what are we not doing? We're not driving anywhere. The Guardian is actually sitting down. This wouldn't be a bad thing to do either. When you get to the point where he can get in there, just take this thing down, set it down, and sit there. Now some people, I have a client that does this, and it seems really weird. She reads emails out loud because her dog, and because he has an issue with talking, not with you, but she's like, make sure that you bring the TPS reports to work on Friday. It's really important at this meeting. Now, it's the most boring stuff that has nothing to do with the dog, but you're talking the way that your mom talked to you when she read you a book, when you were a little one. It's a very soothing, slow, calming sort of delivery like I'm making right now. Dogs hear tone and inflection, and sharp patterns can kind of get them a little bit worked up. So if you read just a page of a book out loud, doesn't matter what the content is, it could be the worst things. The world is about to end in 20 seconds. We are all going to die in a fiery death, and it's going to be a horrible, horrible experience. And the dog is nice and relaxed. So it's not what you're saying, it's how you deliver it. What we're looking to achieve is him to be calm and relaxed in the car. This is wonderful. I didn't think that we would achieve something like this, but evidently me talking puts dogs to sleep. So eventually you're going to start driving around your neighborhood a little bit faster, but the idea is not to start slamming on the brakes and the accelerator. Trash chute. But the idea is to gradually get it a little bit more and more. But keep on these side streets and neighborhoods and try to do it at this time of the day, like middle of the day, like around 10:30, 11 o'clock, or around like 1:30 to 2:30. Those are going to be great times. There's not going to be a lot of traffic, so you can drive a little bit slower. And the idea for this point is just to gradually make the trips a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit more acceleration, a little bit more braking, a little bit more turning. But again, keep it very, very gentle. And if you start seeing him drool, then we need to back up to a previous level. We might just have to do the part where we're doing in the parking lot, and there is never anything wrong with backing up a step. All right, well, this is my buddy Boba, and he used to bark when people talk to him and look at him. Now you see him moving a little bit, so that is still, his mouth is closed, and he's looking around, but he's still a little bit overwhelmed. Like I said, this is a lot to do in one setting. But this is my buddy Boba, and these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that doesn't like to ride in the car.